All right, we are live. Good evening, my sisters. How are you?
Good
Hey,
evening.
good evening. It's so great to see your beautiful faces. And good evening to all of you who are tuning in tonight and who will tune in tonight and who will watch this later. This is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation. And we thank you for following us, for liking us, for just being here with us this evening. And so we're going to get started tonight with tonight's show because we always start and before we know it, the hour passes. So
Mhm.
we'll get started how we normally do by just introducing ourselves and sharing what we are grateful for. And so I'll just start by saying that I am Theodora Carter. I am a certified life coach. I am also an HR consultant. My passion is to help women live the life that they desire to live and deserve to live. And I do that by helping them to create balance in their lives around the things that are most important to them so that they can create harmony and peace. And I am grateful to be here today. I am grateful for yet another just day on God's green earth. I am grateful for all that God is doing. I am grateful for my two beautiful sisters that are here with me tonight. And I'm grateful for all of you that will tune in to this show tonight.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Sheila Isom, and I am an insurance claims professional. I am also an independent consultant for Color Street. We sell nail polish strips, and I am also a notary public. So today, I am grateful for new beginnings. Over the weekend, we celebrated my son's graduation kiss from college. So yes, so I applaud him. We applaud all of the young adults who have who crossed that stage and are now looking for look forward to that next chapter in their lives.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Regina Booker. I started the Season and Fabulous, which is an advocate for women of 50 plus to say it's never too late to do whatever you want to do, whether it be purchase a home, start a new business, run a marathon, whatever you want to do. Because as we get onto our ages, we think about, oh, I wish I could have, but hey, you start at 50, you just start living. So 50
There
plus.
you go.
We want to advocate for women like that. And I am grateful for just life in general, just being, thank you, grateful for my sisters, grateful for this platform, and grateful for our leader. That started this, not really our leader, she's our sister, but she's the one that just kind of started this whole thing with New You Nation and gave us permission while she does other things to carry on the Woman to Woman show. So I'm grateful for all of that.
Hmm.
Yes, yes. So tonight's conversation I think will be interesting because it all came from me and Regina fellowshipping yesterday and just beginning to talk about, you know, just some of the things we're doing and the directions that life is taking us. And we just started talking about, people who, um, what's what I'm looking for, say they support you, but their words sometimes and their actions don't align. And so we just started thinking about, what does it really mean when someone um, has your best interests at heart, right?
Mhm.
Do they really have your best interests at heart? And then I started thinking, like, what does that saying even mean? Right? I've heard people say it, right? But what does that like really mean? Um, and even if you try to Google it or look it up, there's no real definition for it. So when I say that, like, what resonates with you guys?
Let's see. Well,
Sometimes it's just minding someone else's business. Because like we had the conversation yesterday, and sometimes people think they're building you up, but they're actually tearing you down
Mm,
because their words do not align for what um, they say to you,
mhm.
depending on what the situation is. So it goes back to sometimes you shouldn't tell everyone everything you're thinking
Mm,
because well, girl, I'm gonna start this business. And then you might have a friend or a family member. Well, why would you start a business? Well, you're good at that, but maybe you should think about this, or maybe you should do that before. They're killing your dream before you even start your dream.
mm, mm.
So sometimes they're thinking they're well, I'm only telling you this because I love you and I don't want you to fail, but you might be in a 9 to 5 that's really killing you being in that 9 to 5, but they're telling you to stay there because it's security, it's this, it's that. But deep down you're dying inside.
mm,
Yeah, yeah. And it's so true because I feel like when someone really has my best interests at heart, or really even, I guess, has my back, right? It's like whatever they do, their actions, however they are trying to help me, or be there for me, it is really out of the goodness of their heart, and it's regardless of the outcome for them, right? Because I kind of feel like it makes you, like, as I was thinking about the topic, right? I was like, it really makes you begin to think about how you set healthy boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide who you share with, right? What you're gonna
Mm-hmm.
do with them. I've always been someone that I will do something and then I'll share it later, right? That's just always that's how I move in most cases, right? Like even when I moved here, right? Like I literally told maybe, some close family members, some close friends, but for the most part, most people found out when I posted a picture of the truck that pulled up, the moving truck that pulled up to my new home, right? And then people
Mm-hmm.
were like, oh, you moved because, and I think, I don't know if I think about it as people having my best interest at heart, but I just feel like, to the point that you made, Regina, is sometimes you will tell people what you're planning to do, and they will begin to plant these seeds, right,
Mm-hmm.
of doubt that
mm.
you may not have even had in your mind.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, and when you think about someone having your best interest at heart, you're thinking about someone who's genuinely concerned about
Mm-hmm.
you and what you're doing, and that they're going to be there to support you, right?
Mhm.
Um, I was watching a program, and there was a rapper who said, because one of the things I think, especially those that are in the entertainment industry, you know, they get a little famous and they try to bring everybody along with them, and it's always somebody in that crowd, because you get to a point where you realize that you can't continue to foot the bill for everybody. They can't go everywhere that you're going, and it's you and your talent that has put everybody in a position, right? And some of these people that are just tagging along for the free ride, not realizing that it's an opportunity for them as well to
Mhm.
find something for them to do. And this particular rapper said that you would think that everybody's going to be happy for you, but that's not the case.
Mhm.
Not everybody will be happy for you and will support you. So when you start to do things, you do have to take that into consideration, that not everybody is going to be on board,
Mhm.
whether that it's because they just don't want to, or they don't think that you can.
Mhm.
So who are you going to listen to? Are you going to let somebody sow those seeds of doubt into you? Or are you going to listen to God, who is one that's helped you put the plan together?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting that you say that, right? Because I think sometimes God is telling us, right? He's directing us, he's showing us, and we let other people into that plan that he's like, I didn't show you this. I didn't
Mhm.
tell you this. I didn't bring you here for you to let other people tell you or discount what I'm showing you, right?
Mhm.
And so it's interesting because even as I was thinking about this topic, I was like, so just thinking about trading last week, like where do you draw the line, right? In
Right.
determining who are the people that can go where God is moving you towards, right?
Mhm.
And how do you manage those relationships, right? Because by no means do I think, right, you have to just say, I'm no longer going to speak to this person and be with that person. But how do you manage those relationships and people that you have to kind of say, okay, you're going to go in this corner. You could be like maybe in the middle of the theater. You might need to be in the balcony now. You might need to go outside for a little while, right?
Mhm.
How do you decide and determine how you strategically and with love
Mhm.
begin to create those healthy spaces and boundaries?
Well, it's just like with anything, any group, you have to, you do, unfortunately, you have to put people into groups, into categories, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, you have to do it with family, because we all know that there are some family members that we cannot be around, right? We wouldn't
Mhm.
have our children around. We wouldn't even have our mama or daddies around them, right?
Yeah.
But so you kind of learn to love them from afar. It
Yeah.
works the same way with friends. You have a group of friends who you can talk to about every and anything, who are always going to be the cheerleaders. And then you might have those group of friends who are, you're really close with them. However, they have different agendas. So they're not on the same plane as you are. Right. So
Mhm.
you have to be able to recognize that again, everyone can't be the same towards you, for you, and with you. That's
Mhm.
just not humanly possible. It
Yeah.
works the same way in work. You know that there are some coworkers that you may have that you can confide in, that you can have that partnership with, and then there are some where you just keep it strictly at a professional level. It works the same way
Right.
with friends.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny to me how some people actually struggle with it's funny because like I'll be talking to people and they'll be like like at work, I have one of my coworkers, she struggles with not inviting people to lunch, right? And I'll be the first one to be like, you don't need to invite them, right?
Mhm.
And it's not out of malice. It's not that I don't like the person. It's just that it's not someone that I interact with all the time. So I really don't want to eat lunch with them, right?
Mhm.
But she so struggles, and I'll end up being all right. If you want to invite them, you can invite them, right? But it's funny because it's like it makes me wonder, like what it is, and in some people that and me and a friend had this conversation too, right? Like we talked about what is it in some people, and I know I used to have this where you feel like if somebody buys you a Christmas gift at work, you got to get them a Christmas
Mhm.
gift, right? If someone sends you a Christmas card, and I remember this when I was younger. I don't do it anymore because I really send out Christmas cards. I remember that if I would get a Christmas card, I felt like I kept Christmas cards on hand. So if I got a card that I didn't send somebody a card, I would mail it out. And I was like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
And
And
and so it's interesting to me, like what's in the psyche that makes you do that, but then also with maturity and with age, right?
mhm.
I noticed it has changed,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, I was gonna say because I used to do that. The whole thing of didn't want to leave anybody. That's called people pleasing.
Mm.
Mm.
And once you get old enough and find you don't have to people please. You have to please yourself and protect
Mhm.
your peace.
First and
So no longer do I people please. And Sheila brought up a great point of, you know, putting people in different places of your life because you listen to them and you can kind of listen to the words and determine whether they're for you or against you. And sometimes they think they're saying stuff that's for you, but it's really not. If you just listen to the little things, they're not really for you. And they might not mean to not be for you, but they or they don't believe in you.
Yeah.
And they want to tell you what to do. And so and then they need to take a look at their life, you
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
So
yeah, I get what you're saying because it's kind of like you have those people that'll be like, they're not consciously trying to sabotage you, but it's something in them that's leading to them by their words and their actions to kind of say to you, why would you want to do this? And I wonder if that's the fear and doubt in themselves.
could be. It could be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's why you just have to, just kind of put them. And sometimes you'll know who you can say stuff to and who you can't. And you learn from talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And when you feel that it's, you get to the quiet of yourself and you start, analyzing things and talk to God about it, because that's what, and God, He gives you discernment. And, that's when, you just have to, and you go like you love them from afar.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And when there's places for them to be in your life, they're in your life. You don't have to dismiss them, but it's just only certain things that you could say.
And
And
I
it all
think,
comes out in the wash. Because
that's key, right? The guide, right? The discernment.
mm-hmm.
Right, because and I'll just say this from my own personal experience, and as I went through my healing journey, and I began to like just look back over my life of male and female relationships, right, that I held on to, and God was showing me, right, God was showing me, whether it was through the person's actions, whether it was through the person's word, through how the person was showing up for me or not for me, right? And for some reason, right, and I wasn't letting go. And for me, I also say, unfortunately, I'm the hard-headed child where he would be like, you know what? I know this is gonna hurt your little daughter, but I'm gonna have to do it this way because otherwise you're gonna stay in this thing, whether it's this relationship, whether it's this friendship, whether it's this job, like you're gonna stay here until I do something that really makes you move.
Right.
Right. So what has been the thing that has made you guys move out of something?
It's for me, it's being confident and comfortable with myself.
Mm.
It's been realizing that I need to and there are times when I need to be by myself with my own thoughts and my own ideas and be comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's just even a matter of being by myself with silence, because I need to build that relationship with me first, right? I need to strengthen that relationship with myself first before I can even take into consideration what somebody else has, that the interest that somebody else may have in who I am or what I'm doing. So I think that that's first and foremost. I learned a long time ago that like it's okay for me to go out and eat by myself, or because I'm like, if I wait for somebody, I could be hungry, right? You can go to the movies by yourself, right? And from there, I learned to do things by myself because I had to, again, develop into the person that I wanted to be, the person that God was leading me towards. I can't do that with a group of people who have different opinions and thoughts, especially if they didn't mind sharing them with me, So I had to build my foundation within myself first.
Mm.
before I can start relying on anybody else. I mean, you know, granted, as you're coming up, friends are important, right? You learn a lot, but then you also learn that there's one person over here doing that and another person over here that's doing that. And somehow you're caught in the middle and you don't know which direction you should be going into.
Mm.
So from there, you kind of learn that I need to figure these things out for myself, by myself.
And I think also for me, like when I went to that, because now, you know, I'm comfortable with going somewhere, eating by myself, going to the movies, going to the like things, right? Because I remember, you know, younger, you know, you always was with someone, but I do feel like when you intentionally, and I'm big on that intentional, right? Like being intentional about that's how we live, right? But I really feel like when I was like intentionally, like I want to get to know you, Theodora. Like, who are you, right? Are you able to function on your own?
Right.
Because I think some people need to take the time to, and I'm speaking to somebody out here that's either listening now or will listen later, right? You need to pick a day or even an hour out of a day if you want to try slowly where you're just by yourself, like Sheila said, where you're just either doing something by yourself or you're sitting still, but you need to begin to see how you function when no one else is around. Because when you begin to depend on other people, you become so dependent that when that person is not around, you don't even know how to function because you don't really know who you are. Because sometimes, like Sheila said, that person is kind of defining you in a way without you even recognizing it.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Theo, one of your posts, and it stuck with me so well. You said you had to ask a question, and you was like, "I'm serious." You went to the bar and read a book.
Oh, so
and that shows right there how independent and you know yourself.
Yeah. I mean,
and the guy was so bothered that you did that.
But I had
disturbed your peace. It seemed like he disturbed your peace.
But you know what was funny about that, which it was seriously like I was like I was joking in a way because I really didn't care.
Yeah, but I know you did.
I was like, okay, is there really an etiquette, right? Because I remember a coworker that I work with, who's a social worker, had said to me, if when you're out, right, she was like, you should do your best to, appear that you are open. Right. And so she's like, if you're somewhere and you're alone, because I don't know why people are always concerned about my singleness more than I am. Right. Right? Because I'm like, when God is ready, it's going to happen. Right. Like, you should just go to a bar and just sit and don't take out your phone and don't do this. Right. And so when I was sitting there, I went to get a salad and I was like, because I literally left. I said to the bartender, hey, I'll be right back, because I had left my book in the car, because I was like, I forgot I got my book. And I went out and got the book and brought it in, right? And I just had it sitting there, and then all of a sudden, first of all, I was like, why are you always in my business, first of all? But the way the person said it was like, you brought a book to the bar? It's like he's appalled. And I was like, yeah, right. But I didn't even think about that because I have become comfortable with. I'll go to breakfast by myself. I'll go places by myself.
And I'm very independent with myself as well. My friends have told me, like, you'll just go and do stuff and you don't ask. And I'm like, ask us. I'm like, oh, well. I'm like, it's not intentionally, but I just, if someone I just go or whatever. I just go, oh, I went here or there. So I'm very comfortable with that. I think I've always, but being a people pleaser, like I was always comfortable doing stuff by myself. What I had to get out of the habit of was trying to please people. So you could be, it's kind of a two thing, because I'm very independent, but I had to learn to stop pleasing people.
And it happens because
And so, or caring about, well, they said this or that, and then that's part of it too, because then you that get in your head and that noise in your head. So it makes you doubt what you're doing and stop you from doing what you're doing. And the whole reality is they really don't have your best interest at heart, or they think they do, but their words are tearing you down.
Mm.
So it's a whole circle thing. So I had to get out of the people pleasing thing because I learned how to be by myself. That's fine. I could do that. But I had to learn to stop listening to people because that was tearing me down silently. Like I didn't say anything, but it brought that fear, that doubt. Well, maybe you really can't do that. Well, maybe you shouldn't do that. So.
But I think that comes with maturity too. Because I say when I was in like my 30s, maybe even a little bit in my foot, like I remember my friends were like, "You're never home. You're always doing stuff," right? Because if someone, because it also is part of me because I like to support people. Right? And so if someone was having an event, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm coming. Yeah, 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 I'm coming." Right? So I was out more than I was in. But I remember one weekend, it was like in one Saturday, I lived in Franklin Park, if anyone knows Jersey, right? You know, in that New Brunswick, whatever. I had an event in the Bronx. I had an event right around the corner from me, right? So I literally was like, okay, I'm gonna go to this event around the corner from me, right? Then I'm gonna drive to the Bronx, and I'm gonna go to that event. Then I'm gonna come back, right? And now I will tell you with age and just the life that I'm creating for myself, which is a life of peace and harmony. And it's like, I would be like, I have no problem now saying, you know what? Sorry, I can't make that. Right. Like I can't make that. Cause also now I love spending time in my home. Right. But it really, I think also comes with maturity, but I think it also comes to that point of recognizing that the people who are really in your life, right? And the people that really, if we want to say have your best interests at heart or whatever we want to call it, right? Those are the people that are going to be okay with who you are.
Right.
If you can't make something, they're not going to hold it against you.
Right. Well, you know, as I was, you know, getting older, you know, I was always the one who would try to make every single event that somebody invited me to. And, you know, it was to the point where people were like, "Oh, yeah, I know Sheila's going to be there." And not only was I there, but I was there on time. And I just, you know, and I had to get to a point where I said, I don't need to be everywhere. It's not always reciprocated. So who am I trying to prove things to, and what am I trying to prove by always showing up for others, right? Am I showing up for me first and foremost? Am I going because I'm going to get something out of this, or am I going just to be another body in the venue? Or another person that's going to spend money for this event when, you know, I just invited that same exact person to something a few weeks ago and they didn't show up, no phone calls or anything like that. So why is it so important for me to be the reliable one, the dependable one? Because as Regina was saying, it was just like, let me make sure these are my friends. Let me make sure that I'm pleasing my friends. Let them understand that this is part of how I define friendship. And so that might have been, you know, a fallacy on my part as well, because there's more to friendship than just physically being someplace all the time, especially for any kind of social event. So I had to really take a back seat to that. It's like, you don't have to go everywhere. You don't have to be at every single function. You don't have to accept every invitation. And look, I even learned that I don't even have to be on time for a lot of things, right? So I'm just like, you know, you go to somebody's birthday party and you're sitting there all by yourself because everybody else came in an hour later, like their invitation actually had a different time on it. And I also learned I don't have to stay till the end. If I'm ready, it's time to go.
That piece.
Now
right?
that right there,
part.
that's a mouthful. 'Cause-
And that's a mouthful, because I will tell you, right? I always end up, especially when it's not like a catered event or in a hall, I'm always the person that not only ends up staying late, but I end up cleaning up. And I'm like, how did I end up? The cleanup person. And you know, and not to say that I'm doing anything for somebody to do it in return, right? I don't think that's what any of us are saying.
No.
But there does become a point when you have to begin to recognize, right? When you're always pouring out, and there's that one or that one or two people, right, who are never pouring back in. And I think that's when you begin to realize, right? You know, like, listen, you know, because I will tell you, my closest friends that I've been friends with, since I was 13 years old. One of my best friends, like her daughter is my goddaughter. We could go months without talking, right? And she'll say, man, I'm sorry, I'm so horrible at it. But we will get on the phone, or something's going on in our lives, and we will pick up as if we just spoke. Yes, right? If something's going on, you know, there's a death or whatever, if we need to be there, we're going to get there, right? And so I think you also begin to define in life, right, who your core is.
Right.
Who are those people that, you know, regardless of what's going on, you know, they know that it's like, what's that song? Ain't no mountain high enough, right? Right? Like, you know, that's your no mountain high enough friend.
Yep.
Right. And so I think that's important. And so, you know, I think one of the things that, you know, Regina and I were talking about, because, you know, we're both entrepreneurs, right? You're an entrepreneur. We also all have other jobs and stuff that we do, but just talking about that journey of, you know, some of the things that we're looking to do or trying to do, and how when you share it with other people, they begin to tell you, right, in their way, either what you're not capable of or why they don't think you're going to do it, right? Because they label you as something, right?
Right. And not fully knowing your whole journey of what you're going through.
Or not caring
True.
about what you're going through, right?
Right.
I think some people know what you're going through, see what you're going through, but in their mind, what you're going through is no big deal. Right? Like, oh, she can manage that, or she can handle that, right? Because I think some people look at it through their lens. Right. And so I think that's important too, right? Is, you know, which I guess is another question. And I had this conversation came up earlier on one of my girlfriend has a podcast that she does, right? And was just talking about how comfortable are you being honest with your friends?
You know, I think it has to have a purpose, right? Sometimes you just should not say whatever comes to the top of your mind. Sometimes
that was in our service.
You know, sometimes you have to mind your business, right? Because as much as you might want to say something or impart some advice, it may not be the time, or it may not be your place to do so, and you may not be asked, right? So you know, sometimes it's difficult and sometimes it's easy, but you have to take honesty in the context of, again, just like with a lot of things, is this necessary? Is it necessary for me to speak on? Now, if you see someone who is going downhill fast or heading there, then, you know, you might want to just gently pull them by the coattails and say, hey, let's think about this for a minute. But you have to approach it in a way that's not going to be judgmental or as if you're throwing out some kind of command or demand to that individual. and this is where discernment comes in as well, because is it actually necessary for me to say something right now at this point, and how is it going to benefit the other person?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's so true, because that's what I said. Like I literally said, first of all, you got to know your friends.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like you got to know the friends that are able to receive the
Mhm.
information, what they're able to receive. You got to know the friends that they don't really want you to tell them, give advice. They just want to vent. You got to know the friends that, is it even worth saying anything, because they're gonna still do whatever. And if you decide that you are gonna say it, right, it's in love, right?
Mhm.
But it's funny that what you said when you started about really thinking is the service yesterday. The pastor talked about, right, that 7 second, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
Like sometimes you got to take like 7 seconds to
Mhm.
think about what you're gonna say, if you should say anything, how you're going to say it, if it's worth saying it, right? And
Mhm.
sometimes it might take more than 7 seconds,
Mhm.
but I really do think that you really have to know your
Mhm.
friends. Like you
Yeah.
have to know what people are capable of receiving, but you also have to know yourself and how you deliver
Mhm.
information,
Right.
because you have to cater how you deliver the message in a way that the person can receive it, if your intention is to really help them.
Right.
Right.
Like I have one friend who is brutally honest all the time.
Mm.
Just the way that she is, and she doesn't do it out of malice. Conversely, though, when she's talking to you and she says, be honest with me, she's expecting the same thing from you that she will give to you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So at least, you're on equal footing with that.
Yeah.
You know, but that might not be the case with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
sometimes that's not even the case for us, because we may not want to hear the truth either.
Mhm.
We may just want to be able to speak what is on our mind,
Mm-hmm.
um, and not actually hear it, because chances are we already know the answer. We already know it, right?
Mhm.
We just maybe need to hear ourselves talk it out, but then know who you're talking to if you really do want to know.
Yeah.
If you're looking for somebody that's going to sugarcoat stuff, then, maybe you shouldn't even be talking about it. That
Mhm.
might not be, that might not be the person that you want to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the thing, right? Because I think we all know, right? We all know the people to go to,
Mhm.
right? When we like, because I know the people when I want, like, like my cousin, like he's like my brother. But I know if we have a conversation, it's gonna be real talk, the two of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be real talk, and they will usually say, like for me, I'll say to people when they ask me, and this is cool, because like exactly what Shayla is saying, right? But sometimes it's the truth or perspective. So whenever someone will
Mhm.
ask me what I think, I will say, I can tell you what I would do,
Right.
right? I
Right.
can't really, um, outside of that, speak to it, right? But I can say, and I always will preface it like that, I can tell you what I will do, right?
Right.
Because I also realize I know my friends. And I know the ones, like to the point you made, Sheila, that they just wanted to vent. They already know what they should have been doing. They already know what they should have done.
Mhm.
So they're not looking for me to tell them what to do. Right.
Mhm.
I know the friends who are really like, hey, Theo, I really, and I'm like, well, I can't really tell you what to do, because I always would say to people, I can only tell you what I would do. Right.
Right.
And you take that and you use it however you're gonna use it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because
Mhm.
for me, I don't like giving people really advice and opinions or whatever. I think I'll help you talk something through. Because the other thing I hate is I hate unsolicited opinions.
Advice. Yes.
Mhm.
I hate when people and that's another reason why I don't really tell people what I'm doing, because I hate when I would tell somebody what I'm doing and then they'll tell me why I shouldn't do it.
Mm.
Mm.
And I'm like, in my mind, like I'm like, I gotta fix my face because I'm like, I didn't really even ask you like
Mm-hmm.
if I should do it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think too when somebody starts to tell it to you that way, right? They're projecting some things onto themselves,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
you know. So they're not only trying to talk you out of it, but they're talking themselves out of it,
Mm-hmm.
out of something else that's totally different, trying to justify it by, making it seem like it's about you.
Mm.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And we
Because
talked about that too.
yeah, because they might be fearful themselves or not in a good place, or as uh, Theo and I spoke about, running from something.
Mm. Or they'll tell you, as Shayla said, or they'll tell you how to do it, and it's their way and not yours.
Right.
Exactly.
Yep. Because they need that for themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important, like for anybody listening, right, to really think about, right? Because part of why we're talking about this is we know somebody out there dealing with this, right?
Right.
And want you to really think about, start to
Mm-hmm.
think about the people that, especially if you have a goal or you're looking to do something, start to think about the people that are in your circle and the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are really there to help you grow, to help you build, to help you move forward, versus the ones that are just kind of there being like these semi cheerleaders,
Mhm.
like rah rah rah. I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy for you, but I'm really not happy for you. I'm waiting to see what this is gonna mean for me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I think I've learned to recognize those people as well.
And take a look at their life when they're dishing out this information. Look. You don't have to say something, but just look at where they are
Mm-hmm.
and see. Okay, you're giving me this, but have you done the things that I'm doing, trying to do?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Or have you tried to do anything that you said you wanted to do?
Yeah.
Oh, that. Oh, look.
What Sheila said when I first cut my hair off, someone told me not to do it, and after I did, they confessed that they wanted to do it too, but they were scared. Yeah.
For real. I mean,
Very good.
that's the thing. People, like Sheila said, people will project onto you
What they're
what they're afraid of, right? I remember when I first moved, I want to say probably every move I've made it, and then I've told people I was doing it, right? Because I find like when I tell people I'm gonna do XYZ, they'll be like, "Oh, do you really want to do that?" And one, like I said, I don't like unsolicited opinions, but I also don't want someone. I have enough of my own little things going on in my head, right? I make up like we all know. I'm the story you tell. I make up, right? So I make up enough stories in my head that I don't need people adding chapters in the book that I'm already creating. Right? I'll just say it that way, right? And so I'm mindful of how I move and who I share stuff with.
Right.
Because like even when I decided to move down here, like when my family was like, "Oh my God," it was because they're like, "Oh my God, you're moving." Like I told them like September 30th, right? Or October, whatever. And I was moving by December. Right. And so it was quick. So it wasn't that they were like, "Oh, we don't want you to go," or they were trying to discourage me from it. But it was like, "Oh my God, we got like 2 months to figure out how we're going to spend time with you, whatever, right? But then you had some people who were like, "Oh, why are you moving to North Carolina? Who do you know in North Carolina? What are you going to do in North Carolina?" I'm like, "I'm going to live." Right.
And because it was such a
things in North Carolina.
And you had such a smooth transition, it was nothing but God guiding.
Exactly.
Ooh, yeah.
When things are hard, or you're meeting not everything, but the majority of things that's hard, and you hitting, roadblocks, then it's not your time to do it. Or God is saying no, or it's just maybe not the time for it. With anything, when something is smooth, it
Mhm.
That's
you
all.
know
Yeah.
It is
And
all.
and like Sheila said, right? I will say that every time I decide to do something, I've thought about it, prayed about it, researched it,
mm-hmm.
that by the time I shared it, doesn't matter what anyone says because my mind
Right.
made up LO, and that's
Yeah.
me. Like
Exactly.
by the time I'm doing it, like it's already done. But the other
Mm-hmm.
side of it is also like you said, Regina, it's kind of like either God's going to pave the way where it's just going to be so smooth, or
Mm-hmm.
I experience some resistance. I don't
Mm-hmm.
immediately take that as a no, but I
Right.
think we also have to be mindful. And I will say this to anyone listening right now and or later, you have to be mindful of sometimes when there are detours
Mm-hmm.
because God will put you in a meantime
Mm-hmm.
situation,
Mm.
right?
Right. Yeah, we
So,
discussed that too,
yeah.
because that's the time that I'm in because I got laid off right before during the time that I was detoxing, I was going to do this whole health journey. That's why I wasn't away for what it was 40 days, but like 6 weeks or whatever. Um, and it was so the day I got laid off was the day I was doing my detox. Well, the second day or the first, I forget which day, but it was 2 day detox. So it was one of those days. But when I got the call, and I was actually working from home because I asked my manager if I could work from home because I didn't know how this detox was going to affect my body.
Mhm.
And it was just so spiritual. My house was serene. I had cleaned my house from head because that was one of the instructions. Make sure your house is clean,
Mm.
your surrounding, spiritual music, everything. And it was nothing but God. I was telling Theo, had I did that journey employ, I probably would have quit because it was so intense, but it helped me focus. So I'm looking at it as I did lose my job. I'm looking for other jobs. I have, some other leads and stuff, but I'm not worried. So it was a time in which God put that detour or whatever, and it's still sort of a smooth transaction because I have not missed a beat. I'm not hungry. I'm not homeless,
Mhm.
But on the other hand, I am knowing that I do have to do something. But it put me in a space. But like you said yesterday when we were talking, I focused on my health.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
got it to a point that I can control it. I can go back and be in a healthy place because that's where I needed to be.
Mhm.
So,
And that's what's important, right? Because when you think about it, right,
mhm,
God will put you in situations where He's like, I need to put you in a space where there's no distractions, right?
mhm,
I need to put you in a space where you get to recognize that because sometimes we stay in stuff
Mm.
mhm,
that
Mhm.
we're not supposed to stay
We're
in,
not supposed to be in.
mhm,
Yep.
right? And he's like, I need to move you out of here so that I
mhm,
can get you to focus on this other thing that
mhm.
I need you to focus on, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
because there are
yeah.
meantime situations.
Right, exactly. Because I really needed to focus. That's why I did it because I just felt like getting older, I had to take control of some things since I was
Hmm.
aching and everything. I was like, wait a minute now. So I'm not trying to be on pill, and I'm not. Thank God, I'm not on any type of pills. But it was alerts. I'm like, I gotta take control of my health and eating
But we
right.
have to be
Drinking water.
comfortable with when because I know I had to learn a long time ago, so I don't go do that anymore. But I used to go and go and go and go and go
Mm-hmm.
and go and go. That when I got like I would get so sick where
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do anything, right? Like
Mm.
Right.
it either would be like I get the flu. One time I got like a kidney infection, right? It
Mm-hmm.
would be like he'd be like, "Listen, little girl,
Sit
I
down.
need,
Right.
I need you to sit down," right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have learned over the years too, like you said, to be very intentional about taking care of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
What like we talk about with Netta, what we put in our body, how we,
Right.
I'm not saying you got like I love to work out, so I may do a little more than other
Mm-hmm.
people, but I say to people all the time, walking is one of the best ways to move your
Mm-hmm.
body,
You
right?
know, that's my thing. And lo and behold, I can't walk right now, but I have to take care. But everything was happening to me. So, I got a boot on my leg, but I went and took care of it. So they said, so my doctor said, you just have to rest your leg, and 2 to 3 weeks, you should be able to start walking again. So, but just different things are happening. But had I been working, I probably wouldn't have went to I would have kept on having his homemade remedies, Googling something. And
but if you think about it, right? God put you in a space to do this detox, to start taking care of your body. You lost some weight, right? You're feeling lighter, right? So that there is going to help your leg or your foot to heal because it is less weight on it.
Right.
Right. And so it's funny how, if we stop to really think about, like Sheila said, to just sit still, right, and think about it, you see how God orchestrates stuff,
right,
to prepare you, because He prepares you for whatever you're going to go through. He's not going to put you to through anything that He's not going to prepare you for.
Right.
And while you're going through it, trust me. And so I'm just going to put this disclaimer out there. As you're going through it, you may not recognize it, right? Let me tell you, I've been through some stuff when I be like, God, really and truly, you need to stop playing right about now. Right? But after I get through it, or as I'm moving through it, I'm like, okay, I see you working. I feel you working, right? I'm okay now. And now, because I am mature, right? I'm maturer. My focus is different. I recognize it right away.
And I think that was me, because I would I called myself being healthy, but really, if you deep down, I wasn't. It's like I was telling you, so I would go to the doctor and they would say, I'm like, yeah, and I'll leave. I wouldn't know what they said when I get. So now I'm more intentional about asking questions and finding out things. And as I'm getting older, I want to be able to do yoga till I'm 90 years old. That's my goal. And moving and today when she said, what is it called? I think it's a
Achilles.
Yeah, that's what it is. So I have to, because from walking and all that, she said, your calves are so tight. So many years people have told me that. When I was in dance ministry in New Jersey, my leader says, God, you're so tight. Everyone's told me that. So years I've been tensed up. So this has been an ongoing thing. So now I'm recognizing I should have been stretching years ago. These are things that really we have to do. And that's part of, my quest with women, taking care of your body too. Had I done some of these things from my mistakes that I made, or learning, I won't even say a mistake because it's a learning. Anytime you learn from it. But now that I think about it, this is years of my body being tense. If I think about 20 years ago, everyone always said, you're so tense. I was always, I don't know how, but I needed to stretch way back then. And maybe
we should be stretching every day. Like literally, I stretch every day.
And that's what you said, you have to, this on your left leg is so, but I know the right one is just affecting the left leg. So I'm like, another light bulb, and that clicked in my head. People have been telling me that for years. So now it's good.
But what I want people to hear, right, from you, seasoned and fabulous.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? That is not too late.
No, it's not.
Right?
Yes.
That's my body. And my goal is to be able, and I do yoga now, but I want to be an instructor at 70 years old.
And you can, let me tell you something. My aunt, y'all know, I always say I love my little auntie. I always talk about she is my motivation. At 90, what's she now? 94? Still bowls in a league.
Yeah.
Like she literally just decided she was going to step down from being the secretary, right? Because she's been the secretary all this time of the bowling league. But I will say that to say that at 94 years old, she still drives. She still, can get around by herself. She goes bowling. And honestly, I hate to say it, anything we plan has to be around her bowling. Like coming to visit me. she'd be like, well, niece, it has to be when it's off season for the. I'm like, Auntie, listen, if I want to see you, I'll come up, right? But I say that to say to everyone, like, you either can begin taking care of yourself when you're younger, or you can start where you're at right now. Right now, you feel like you're not in the best health that you want to be in. Just make a decision on what it is that you need to change, and do it little by little. It doesn't have to be all at one time.
Right. Yeah. And that's it. I love it. I mean, it's never too late.
Never.
It's never too late to get started. It's like it's never too late to say, you know what, friend, you're not in my corner. So we need to kind of either part ways, or I just need to keep you at a certain distance.
Right.
We need to redefine this relationship.
Yep.
Right. And we could either talk about it, or it could just happen. Right. And that's the mode I'm in. Like, we could either discuss it, or it could just gradually happen. And it's no love loss, right? It just means that, you may be in a different season in your life, right? Where this particular person isn't ready to go. And the other thing is that you can't let people continue to pull you back from where God is trying to take you, right? I mean, like in 40 days, right? How much, like, if you don't mind sharing, you feel healthier, you lost weight, right?
Right. And it was a mindset. Yeah, it was a mindset, spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional.
Yeah.
And and as you saw when we went out to eat, I was very intentional about what I ate.
Yep, she was. She was like, no rice. And I was like, I went to rice. Right.
So,
but you know what? It was also refreshing, right? Because you went through an experience where it wasn't a diet, it wasn't a quick fix. It was the beginning of a journey.
Exactly.
Right. And so that you're mindful of it, because you literally was like, okay, no, can I have this? Can I not have that? Can I? Right. And so I was like, wait a minute now. But the thing about that, right, is to just take it back to where we started, right?
Right.
Honestly, it made me think about what I chose to have. Right? Because
you were going to have something totally different.
Exactly. I was about to be like, I want this with the bread. Like, I want these fish tacos.
You're just going down the menu.
Right. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to have this meal with the shrimp and the more vegetables in it. Right. And it had rice, but it wasn't heavy. And then the other thing is, we didn't eat all of our food.
Yeah.
Right. And the funny thing was that it was, as we were eating, you could see where we both kind of like drew a line down the middle of our plate.
Right.
Right. And that does come from mindset. And for me, that comes from what years of being a Weight Watchers leader, right? And just the tips and tricks of that you share with your members. But yeah, I mean, I think this. I'm glad we had this conversation, because it ventured off to something different, but I think it really was the same conversation.
Full circle to what we were talking about. So because even with that, I told you guys what I was doing, but I didn't tell a lot of people, because it was a lot. Well, why would you want to do that, or why are you gonna? And one of my friends, I think she said it jokingly. And she probably was joking, but I didn't like it. And I looked at her and I just said, but I did what she was saying. It didn't come out of my mouth. I thought it, but it didn't come out of my mouth. I'm like, what does it matter? It's me that I'm doing it. Because she wanted me to go somewhere, and I was like, no, I'm doing this, and I can't eat out. And she's like, oh my God, I can't. Why do you want something like that? I just can't. That's you. It's my journey. She goes, no, I'm really proud of you. I'm glad you're doing it, but you shouldn't have said it. Like,
right.
It is full circle, right? Do that your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
Because part of it was, you know what, you doing this, but it doesn't serve me because I
Right.
want you to go here with
Yeah,
me.
because this is what we normally do. And they know, and no, I after this, and then I told her once I'm off of it, it's gonna be different with me going out to different
Mm.
places. I said I'll be wanting to go like walking or some I can keep saying walking. Heal my feet, Lord. 'Cause I love walking, you guys know. And Shayla, thank you. She said, good for you, Regina. Thank you. I'm trying to put it in the chat and I can't, my little computer going on. Thank you, Shayla. But yeah, so this was really a good journey for me and it just keeps me focused. And I just feel like another means of keeping my peace and not pleasing people because I'm doing it for me and
Yes.
my health.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's great because I think the other thing you learn, and this just comes from my journey, right? Is it's a lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you will be able to still go out, but you get to choose. I mean, my friends used to hate going out with me because literally I was the girl that was like, can I have this? Can you not cook it in this? Can you not bring this? Can you whatever? But the other thing people don't realize is you get the option to ask them even when you're
Right.
out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how people should prepare your food or not. But I think that it is telling that even you know, jokingly sometimes, and for me, like it's a catch-22 because I do believe that that people will joke, but depending on the situation, I think that
Mm-hmm.
there's a little bit of real honesty in that
Mm-hmm.
joke,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you take it as a grain of salt, and like you said, you like Sheila said when we started, so it does go full circle. You really process it and you determine whether or not it's worth saying anything,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and then you're like, if I'm gonna say something, I'm gonna say it in love, or I'm just gonna let it slide. And
Right.
then maybe at a later date, you say, "Listen, I didn't really appreciate whatever." But the reality is, sometimes it's
Mm-hmm.
not even worth it. But
Yeah, that's what it came down. It wasn't worth it because
Right.
it probably didn't. She didn't know it hit me like that, but I didn't think she was trying to tear me down either.
yeah,
It was just that's why I didn't talk about it a lot because I was so serious about it. And just like with other, I've been on the other side of it where I start this whole, I'm gonna be healthy. Day 3, I'm done. I'm out. you know, back to the soda.
but that's why sometimes the journey has to be. That's why sometimes the journey has to be between you,
Mm-hmm.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
I, and
Yeah.
God, right?
Right.
Because sometimes that journey just has to be your journey,
Mm-hmm.
because it's only meant for you to go on it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you include people, you decide who you're going to include along the
Mm-hmm.
way. All right. But it is 9:05, so we're a little bit over. Again, a really good conversation. You know, this is the Woman to Woman show. We got so engrossed that we forgot to remind you where you were and who you were listening to. But this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. The New You Nation Network is a platform that really is catered to providing you with just really good, nurturing, positive content. Right? We believe in having good conversations. We believe in having fun and laughing, but yet we also don't believe in a lot of the stuff that you can get somewhere else. And if that's what you're into, it's really good. But you're gonna really find us, if at all, being ratchet or messy or any of that, right? Because we really believe in uplifting one another and also
Mm-hmm.
sharing some positive information. And so with that, we're going to end as we normally end with our final statements. And I don't know that I have anything else more to say other than what I just said is right, that, you know, as you go along your journey in life, you will figure out who is in your corner and who's not. And you will determine along the way who should go along with you
Yeah.
on that journey and at what point in time they should be allowed on that journey. And as I always say, whether they need to be in the first row, the middle section, the balcony, or outside the stadium, you will eventually learn that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My parting words are be comfortable with yourself, be confident in yourself, and it's okay to move in silence sometimes.
Mm. And
Well, there's nothing
Regina.
left for me to say, no, but um, I agree with both Theo and Sheila. Um, just be yourself, be your authentic self, I would say, and enjoy the journey. Talk to God, use your discernment, and sometimes you do definitely have to move in silence. Pray about it, as Shayla said, you know, and then you move.
Mhm.
Too
And it's never too
late.
late.
Yeah, I should say that because that is what that is my journey right now. It's never too late for me to do anything.
Yeah.
Whatever I want to do and I feel that I can do, or if it's something I really, really want to do, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And so it was, oh, Shayla, it was great to have you here.
Yes.
And we are glad you were able to join us tonight.
Yeah.
We
Oh, we're
certainly
glad.
are, Shayla. We miss you.
We miss you, Shayla.
Love you. We are praying for you
Yeah.
always. And to everyone that tuned in tonight, we thank you for tuning in. Please come back again next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will again be here to just chat together, sister friends, engaging in some good conversation. And so, as we always end the night, we will say, truth plus transparency equals
Healing.
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 Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
And remember to like and share and
And subscribe.
subscribe to the New Nation Network. Thank
Thank
you
you.
and have a good night.
Bye.